Hey, today I'd like to show you a little something I've created since about mid last week. It has become a little bit of a hobby project of mine and it's called Guetzli. It's basically a Web-CMS and it's completely file-based. So that means there is no database. Whatever you change in your files will be immediately reflected in the page that you are working on. Additionally, this thing is really fast. That means it's doing about 500 requests on a desktop computer. I've measured up to 300 requests per second when executing this on a really low spec VPS. It was a 2 GB VPS and accessing it from the outside internet. So with this, it's really simple to serve your page for many people to access them. As I said, like 300 requests a second, usually you would pay a lot of money to get this kind of performance out of your web server. Anyway, so it's called Guetzli. Basically, this is the Swiss German name for cookie. And the metaphor is you have your biscuit, the little bit dry inner part, which is the dynamic content that you build with your pages, and then you have the chocolate, which is the static part, your CSS, your JavaScript, whatever you want to add there. So to get this, just clone this repository. You go to github.com. My name is Müller-Michel /Guetzli, and there you find the link to clone this with your Git. So wherever you are, just enter git clone and then you paste the link and it will create a new directory called Guetzli. And there you find example content that you can start with. Basically what you do is you go to your Guetzli folder that you have just cloned and you enter python./server.py. This will start this server so that you can access it in your local host. And as you can see, that's basically the example page that has been loaded here. We can basically close this. We don't need the terminal anymore from this point. On the left side, I have opened my file editor. I'm using Sublime here with a few plugins. I will show you the plugins at the end of the video. So anyway, now let's say I'm on this page, so I have a few pages actually in my content, and the whole thing is multi-language. So we have German, English, and here a Spanish menu. This comes from the configuration. So here you see in the config.json under content, you see active languages. We have English, German, Spanish. It's just a language and the locale basically as the ID here. And as you can see, we have pages in German and English. And then we have a default page name defined, which is 001 about. So the rule is when you activate the language, you at least you need the default page defined in your directory structure in this specific language. So here you see we have German, that's all fine, we can go here. Basically now we see the content in German. We can go to the different pages. We also have a little blog, one post here. When you go to the English version, we have more posts. But now let's say we want to open Spanish. As you see, oh, that doesn't work. We can't find the thing we want, or even the default page here. It gives us a 404. That's because we didn't define the Spanish language version in our pages. So let's say we want to deactivate this for now. What do? Well, we edit this content.json here. Just do this, save. Oh, and it already changed here. Okay, so even the config.json we can just edit and it will reflect immediately in what we're doing. Okay, so basically we can open our pages. I'm a page, there is also a link here. So let's open this, it's basically this page here. Also here I can just save and it will come up in my locally loaded website. We can do other things like let's say we want to change the CSS. For that we have the static folder here under design. So there is only one style set right now. It's the background color for this blog footer here. So let's say I want to change this color. I can open up a picker. Say, yeah, I want this a little bit more yellow. Pick, save, and it's changed. So static content, of course, it also works. I can create new blog posts. So let's go to the post/blog/English. Here is an example. We can just copy our last blog post, save it here. The rule with posts is you always have to start with an ISO formatted date, like above. And then you enter the short name of your author. So let's say we want to have a new author here and we give him a short name of John Smith, could be JSM for example. And this is his first post, okay? Right. So now we've copied this, we give it a title and we say, hey guys, I'm John Smith. Alright, let's see what happens here. Okay, we already got the post, my first post by John Smith. You can also open it this way. Now you see, okay, we only see his short name, while for the other posts we see a full name. That's because we didn't configure this author yet. So basically here you see the tag author that will be inserted in the post. I can also edit this. I can format it for each post in a different way if I want to. But this is just how it works now with this copied example. And these are Mustache tags. Mustache is a templating engine. And Mustache, it gets its content from different sources. So in this case, the author is defined here. So if I do JSM, it's John Smith, save, and I see, okay, now I have the author here as a full name. And here you see the date particle that comes from the file name. The date particle is it's basically a defined string that I have available in different languages. So in English it's on, in German it's so I can use this template tag to not care about these kind of texts that I always want to use. I just copy them over and it will paste it in the correct language. But what I could do is make a new tag. Let's see. I could say, for some reason I want to have tree always defined. Maybe I would call that tree localized. And in English it's just tree, and in German this is Baum. In German we write it uppercase. So now I could just end all of my posts always with tree, right? So this is now defined. Save it. Apparently something didn't. I used tree instead of tree localized, of course. Okay, now save it this way, and now I see tree, right? And if I go German, I could change my post here. I could also do the same thing in a page. Tree localized. So in pages, posts, and templates, all these strings are now defined, right? So if I go to about ProtoGrid, I see Baum, right? Okay. Then let's say we want to do something a little bit more involved. Let's say I'm not happy with just having a blog, but I want to do a new post type. So a whole new kind of post, right? So, well, I could just basically go and copy this folder here. Let's not do that. Let's do it from scratch. But first, basically, what we need to do is we reference or we activate a certain post type for each page. So here, for the blog page, we have active post types by page name, and it references the 002 blog page name, which is available both in English and German. So above here we have the menu defined, basically. What does each menu show? What kind of links? And so let's say I want on the About ProtoGrid page, I want another kind of post type loaded, right? And let's call that news. Right? We want to have a separate list of news, and so we say post directory news. Basically, this is the content directory that we use for this kind of content. And we say items per page is, well, only one maybe. So with this we steer how many posts we have per page, of course. Right. Something seems to be wrong here. Alright, we forgot the colon. Okay. So now I can go and say this is now also one possible content in a new subdirectory called news, the one we referenced before, and it's also in a subdirectory en for English. Right. So now we have a little bit of content here. Let's call that news item. And basically what we have to do is we need a new tag with 3 of these woven brackets here, and we add this tag on the English about page. Currently we only have content in English, and we just use the subdirectory name here. And now we should basically see something, but one thing is missing, and that thing is the template we use for the news items. We can just copy the blog items template here. Right, and now we basically should see it. We go to English, about ProtoGrid. Alright, we don't see the content yet, but I think that's because we used the wrong tag here. So in blog items we use blog posts, localize. Okay, these are the I see. Okay, we've referenced the wrong list. Needs to be news items instead of blog items for the list here. And now we say my first news item written by John Smith. So even that, we just add files and we get new content types. There's really nothing big to do. We don't need a database for this kind of thing. We don't need an admin menu. We just edit our files. As long as no one else has access to these files, we are fine. The file system is locked down, so you can't just go anywhere through the path. We do this in the server.py. And that's basically it. We have a lot of documentation here. Basically, you go just to the README and you can read about the design principles. And if you want to know more about like tagging and how everything fits together and is routed and certain tasks we want to do with Guetzli, you can go here to the documentation on GitHub. Please open up issues if you would like to have a new feature or if there is any kind of bug. Maybe what we could do now is just for this little test server, I could give you a little taste of the performance we have. So right now we only have single-threaded execution of this server, but there is already a multi-threaded version available. For that you need UWSGI installed on your system. And here it's set up to use 4 threads for the static content and 4 processes for dynamic content. You can change this to whatever you like for your hardware. And but let's say we only want to test the single-threaded version. Let's use 1000 requests, 10 at a time, with the very nice Apache benchmark tool, and we go to localhost. So, as we can see here, on this admittedly relatively strong iMac, even in the single-threaded version, we get 388 requests per second locally on the blog, on the German blog. So, it's really quite performant for all intents and purposes, it will probably be network bound, so whatever network your VPS is on, how many requests it can handle, that will be what you can serve with Guetzli. But there will be no slowdown usually with the web server, quite opposite to what you often get with things like Apache coupled to MySQL with WordPress on top and PHP. All these things tend to be relatively slow, and you need to have a lot of servers running in parallel to get really acceptable number of requests per second there. Also, when we look at the answer time, the longest request here, it took 33 milliseconds. It's really a joke, basically. And the reason for that is we don't actually go into the file system every time. We cache all the content, but still we can show the content without any server reloads when you change it, and that's because we always pull the modification times and dates of these files and also folders in case of blog listings. So if there's a new item in your folder, a new file, the modification time of the folder will change, and so that tells me that I have to refresh the cache in the server, and it refreshes in your page. And that's the only time it will have to go actually read files in the file system, is when you changed something, and on the next request that any user will do, it will have to go into the file system to actually read. Otherwise it only accesses file modification dates, which is really fast on most file systems. Anyway, so that's a little bit about this project, Guetzli. I hope you check it out. I think it's ready to be used. The main to-do I have is basically forms and mailing. That's something I want to have so we can basically support most kinds of multi-page websites with this kind of web framework. And this will also be included in the config.json options that you get. So you will have just another entry here for forms, and it will be really simple. So let me know what you think. There is a Gitter chat available, and also please leave your issues, and pull requests are always welcome as well, of course. Thank you.